Helen Keller was born with the ability to see and hear. At 19 months old, she contracted an unknown illness described by doctors as an acute congestion of the stomach and the brain, which might have been scarlet fever or meningitis. The illness left her both deaf and blind. In 1886, Keller's mother, inspired by an account in Charles Dickens' American Notes of successful education of another deaf and blind woman, Laura Bridgman, dispatched the young Keller, accompanied by her father, to seek out physician J. Julian Chisholm, an eye, ear, nose, and throat specialist, for advice. Chisholm referred the Kellers to Alexander Graham Bell, who was working with deaf children at that time. Bell advised them to contact the Perkins Institute for the Blind, the school where Bridgman had been educated, which was then located in South Boston. Michael Anagnos, the school's director, asked 20-year-old former student Anne Sullivan, herself visually impaired, to become Keller's instructor. Sullivan arrived at Keller's house in March 1887 and immediately began to teach Helen to communicate by spelling words into her hand, beginning with DOLL for the doll that she had brought Keller as a present. In 1896, they returned to Massachusetts, and Keller entered the Cambridge School for Young Ladies before gaining admittance in 1900 to Radcliffe College, where she lived in Briggs Hall, South House. Her admirer, Mark Twain, had introduced her to Standard Oil magnate Henry Huddleston Rogers, who was with his wife Abby, paid for education. In 1904, at the age of 24, Keller graduated from Radcliffe, becoming the first deaf-blind person to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. She maintained a correspondence with Austrian philosopher, was one of the first to discover her literary talent. Determined to communicate with others as conventionally as possible, Keller learned to speak and spent most of her life giving speeches and lectures on aspects of her life. She learned to hear people's speech by reading their lips with her hands. Her sense of touch had heightened. She became proficient at using Braille. Anne Sullivan died in 1936 after a coma as a result of coronary thrombosis, with Keller holding her hand. Keller went on to become a world-famous speaker and author. She is remembered as an advocate for people with disabilities and with numerous other causes. The deaf-blind community was widely impacted by her. She traveled to 25 different countries giving motivational speeches about deaf people's conditions. She was a suffragette, pacifist, radical socialist, and a birth control supporter. At age 22, Keller published her autobiography, The Story of My Life, with help from Sullivan and Sullivan's husband, John Macy. It recounts the story of her life up to age 21 and was written during time in college. Keller wrote World I Live In 1908, giving readers an insight into how she felt about the world. Out of the Dark, a series of essays on socialism, was published in 1913. When Keller was young, Anne Sullivan introduced her to Phillips Brooks, who introduced her to Christianity. She gave a huge contribution in politics too, in favor of the working class in the Socialist Party. Keller suffered a series of strokes in 1961 and spent the last years of her life at home. On September 14, 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson awarded her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, one of the United States' two highest civilian honors. In 1965, she was elected to the National Women's Hall of Fame at New York's World's Fair. Keller devoted much of her life later to raising funds for the American Foundation for the Blind. She died in her sleep on June 1, 1968 at her home, Archon Ridge, located in eastern Connecticut, a few weeks short of her 80th birthday.